Jody Powell. Don't take fine for an answer. Don't take fine for an answer. Jody Powell.
Thank you, Madam Contest Chair.
You're welcome.
I've contemplated suicide many times in my life. It's always there, in the back of my mind, waiting as an option. People ask me all the time in casual conversation, they'll say, "How are you doing?" And every single time, I say, "I'm fine." Well, I'm not fine. This is my friend Jim. And Jim was a successful real estate mogul riding the wave of a housing market boom in 2006. Funny thing about waves, they always crash. And just 2 years later, this housing market wave that Jim was riding crashed. And it crashed right on top of him. He lost everything. His house, his cars, savings, investments, all of it, in the blink of an eye, just gone. Jim's pride forced him to push those that were closest to him away, starting with his friends, then his family, his wife, and his children. Jim found himself alone, broke, desperate, hopeless. And on that night, that fateful night, Jim made a decision that would change his life forever. See, as time moved on, Jim found a way to deal with the pain. Oh, he had his coping mechanisms. First, he turned to alcohol, then to drugs, then to anything that would just numb the pain. Far too often, the help that men seek, it's not the help we need. And on that night, after a 3-day bender, Jim found himself in a little rundown motel room just outside of Abilene, Texas. He didn't know how he'd gotten there. He was from California. First, he thought he was hallucinating. What are all these deer heads and antlers all over the wall? But as Jim groggily came to, and he stumbled into the bathroom, it was there on the counter that he saw them. And he knew that he had to have them. It was a bottle of pills. He didn't know whose they were. He didn't know what they were. Jim just knew that he was going to take them. And he did. Every single one of them. Jim died that night. Legally, he was dead. For 1 minute and 47 seconds. And then for some reason, he wasn't. Jim woke up 3 days later in a hospital bed. And as he rolled to his right, he saw sitting there in the chair next to him an old man he had never seen before a day in his life. The old man leaned in and looked at Jim and said, "Jim, how you doing?" And because he had answered this question so many times before in his life, Jim just grumbled, "I'm fine." The old man laughed. "No, you're not fine." For the next 6 weeks, this man that had found Jim lying there on that motel room floor, this man that had called 911, this man that had performed CPR and saved Jim's life, would come to visit him. And every morning, he would ask the same question, "Jim, how you doing?" And every morning, Jim would grumble, "Oh, I'm fine." And the old man would laugh. "No, you're not fine." Jim didn't get it. What's with this old guy, huh? It's like he won't take fine for an answer. And then one day, Jim had had enough. He was tired of the question. He was tired of having to say he was fine, but most of all, he was tired of that old man cackling and telling him that he wasn't. And like a volcano caving to the pressures from within and erupting into the atmosphere, Jim exploded. "What do you want me to say, huh? You want me to say I'm not fine? Well, I'm not. I had it all. Houses, cars, a career, success, family, friends. I had everything. And I lost it. I lost it all. And I hated myself for it. And I wanted it all to end. I wanted to end it all. And I would have if it hadn't been for you. The old man stood stoic as the emotions poured forth from Jim. And after a few awkward seconds, the old man smiled and said, Jim, do you realize everything you just said, you said in the past tense? I had, I lost, I hated, I wanted, I would have, all of it in the past. Today, Jim, today is your first day. And for the first time since 2008, Jim felt something. Oh, it was small, just a flicker. But it was there, deep inside of his soul. It was hope. I still contemplate suicide, but no longer as an option. As a reminder of where I've been, a reminder of where I never want to choose to go again, and a reminder that there are angels walking among us, asking us questions like, how are you doing? Are you one of those angels? The next time you ask someone special in your life, how are you doing? Don't take fine for an answer. Madam Contest Chair.